everybody, it's Ann, and today I'm going to take you on a tour of my primitive farmhouse kitchen, so stay tuned. Okay guys, here we are in the kitchen, and I've decided to do it today because a Primitive Place magazine came yesterday and I cleaned. And when you clean, you do a video, at least if you're me, because the kitchen isn't always the most clean place in the house. So I'm gonna take you on a guided tour through the kitchen, show you how I staged this place with food, and tell you a few interesting stories. So here we go. I think we should start right over here. We have two stoves because one stove was left by the former owners and it's a gas stove. And if you know anything about living in the country, it's nice to have a gas stove because a lot of times the power goes out and you need to be able to cook. Now, never mind that also the well goes out and so you can't really cook, but whatever. So we have a gas stove here, and what I did was I just covered it with a cutting board that I had. This is something that came on a cart, and I decided I didn't want to use the cart in the kitchen right now. So I'm using that in the barn, and I just took the cutting board off of it, and it was about the size of a stovetop. And so I just put it on top of the stove to hide all the ugliness. And then of course I had to decorate it. So I've got a nice tea towel here, got that at Woodstock Country Shop. And this is just a squash from the grocery store, $1.49 a pound. And then here is this local apples and pumpkins. I like this. I picked this up last year at Target for $5 and I filled it. You could fill it with anything. I actually have little cloth pumpkins in there from Target that I wasn't decorating with this year. And so there they sit. And it looks really cute, doesn't it? So above that, I have this hanging planter that I have all year round. And I decided that I would fill it with squash and potatoes. Now the great thing about this is that this is food that I can eat. So not only does it look earthy and organic, which it does, but we're gonna be able to eat it. So there's absolutely no wasted money on decor. Well, here I have an old ladder. I picked this ladder up at Bernat Antiques quite a few years ago. Loved the ladder. And on it, I just put tablecloths. Lots of those woven tablecloths. I picked them up at Woodstock Country Shop. There's all different sizes. There's little square ones. There's a big, more blankety one. And these things I use year around on all kinds of things to decorate. But I thought that they'd look really cute sitting in the corner of my primitive kitchen. And they really do, don't they? Let me back up and show you a scanned view. It's super nice. I got this shadow box a few years ago at Woodstock Country Shop. I will keep saying that. From now on, I'll just say Kathy. Oops. So this is a little crooked. I have this light here. I will turn on for us. And I needed something big to fill the shadow box, but if you know anything about wreaths, they usually start at 30, 40, 50 bucks. I didn't have 30, 40, 50 bucks. So what I did was I picked this berry garland up. These things you can get all different prices at different places. I've seen them as cheap as $6, but this is a really pretty one with lots of colors. Gorgeous fall colors, different kinds of berries. And so that was a bit more expensive, but what I did was I put it into a wreath. And I love the organic look of it. It's not perfect, and I really love it. So underneath, this Let's Bake Pie tea towel needs to be washed, I can tell. It's been around a little. So I just threw that over the mixer just to give an idea that we're baking pie. And everything here says homemaking, home goodness, locally grown, yummy, fresh, yummy foods. So that is what I did here. And when I put the apples right next to it, it suggested a story that we're baking apple pie. And that is a story we can all get behind in the fall, isn't it? On the windows, I have my curtains. I'll leave a link below to those curtains. but I use these in almost every room in the house. They work really well here because I have small windows and I have 42 of them. But these are Prairie style curtains. They're tobacco cloth and they're seasoned. You know, you can use them all year round and I love them. I don't need privacy because I live in the country. So I find that these work really well. They let enough light in and yet they give the window a little bit of decoration. So I really love that. And then of course, these cabinets are actually from Lowe's and I've just painted them. Last spring, you can see my video from last spring, I painted them green. And even though I was going with more of a 50s kind of kitchen, or 30s to 40s, 50s kitchen, I decided that they could also stay in here for a primitive look. And then on top, we've got a shelf and I have some of my cookbooks up there and I always decorate with copper. So coming over here, speaking of copper, I've got this little rooster hook shelf thing and I have some copper pots off of that and this darling little basket that I picked up at an orchard the other day. They had a name for these baskets. I don't know where they get them. They're not that expensive and they're just really cute. And the colors in that basket echo the Gather Here with Grateful Hearts that I picked up a couple years ago at Michael's. So I love that with the pumpkin. Isn't that just the nicest scene? I absolutely love it. And over here is the old refrigerator that we actually pulled out. It's General Electric and we found it on the side of the road and paid the guy $35 for it and took it. Next to it is an island that we've had in the middle. We made this island and I really love it. We've got some corrugated metal on the sides of it. We've got these legs that we picked up at Lowe's and the cabinets that we picked up at Lowe's. And these are 2x10s or 2x12s. And they are just really cool on there. I distressed them. And then I put a board up. This is just another board that I picked up at Lowe's and finished off. And it looks like a huge cutting board, but it wasn't. It's like a $30 board. And look at how I decorated with the food. Don't you love it? I've got the apple pie there, and no, I did not bake it. I picked it up at the local bakery, but let me tell you, they are so good and so beautiful to decorate with. And again, it gave you that feeling that Mama baked a pie and now we're gonna eat it, and isn't this fun? It's that whole fall feeling going on. I always put my food in ball jars. They make really good home decor, really, and they're handy. They're right out there in front of you, and they say country kitchen, and they're cheap. So my farmhouse sign, and above that is a painting that my great-grandpa did. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that my great-grandpa painted about 10 paintings in this house, and he loved to go out to the Thornapple River in Michigan and use oil paints and paint. Really, really nice. So I hold these paintings really dear, and since then, now I've inherited a whole bunch of them, and they are decorating my house everywhere, and I think they're perfect here. So I just love them. All right, coming over here, we of course have my farmhouse sink that I picked up at Rusty Star, and I really love it. It actually makes this kitchen, I think, love it. And above it is a beautiful lamp. Picked that up locally, and I just think it's perfect. It's just kind of prairie with the prairie curtains. I put shelves on the outsides here on the wall. We at one time had to take these ugly cupboards off, and it exposed a bunch of bad plaster, and instead of replastering, which would have been really hard for us, we used shiplap. And so that gave us more of that farmhouse look. And of course with the boards, those are just 2x10s, and we cut them in pieces and stained them, and we put them right on the plumber's pipes. So a flange and a pipe and a knob. And they made a really nice place to put our plates and stuff over the sink. Cheap, nice, fun. I used a lot of baskets in here. Now this is the color I used to have in here. This is actually black bean soup, just like our barn, which is kind of ironic. I had this in here and painted everything this green, but I decided to leave that one painted brown because, you know, these old primitive homes didn't all have the same color cabinets. Everything wasn't completely matched. So on here again, I have some stories. I have a pumpkin pie pumpkin on a pie plate. And I've used wood up here to warm it up. And then I've got the fresh baked bread sign. And then some more wonderful things in mason jars. So some of these are actual food and a few of these are decor items. On the left, you can see I got them from Kathy too. And I really love them. This thing I bought years ago at Hobby Lobby. I don't think they carry it anymore. But anyway, that turned out to be a really nice thing for my house. And then a basket and more pumpkins. And then I set a scene again. So what I did yesterday was I actually had fresh baked bread on here. And it was a take and bake loaf. I didn't actually bake bread, but I had it on the cutting board and it looked like you were ready to have jam and bread. And I had this full of muffins and I just think it looked so cute. This is an old grinder I found in the basement. And then a lot of this stuff is just cast iron that I've decided to decorate with. I love the look of the black and the white. And some jugs from Bernat Antiques. I do plan on painting that one butter maker. I have not done it yet. So I do plan on painting it. Especially on pictures, I can tell it just looks really off. It's so bright, there's so much yellow in that green. So that is one thing that I do plan on doing. I think I'm gonna paint it a blue. In fact, I might paint it the same blue as the chicken coop. So I just wanna bring that different color in here, but. Back on the stove, we have a stove cover. Don't you love that? That also is from Kathy at Woodstock Country Shop. And then here we've got this old pitcher, but it's not really old. It's brand new, again, from Woodstock Country Shop, but it looks old, with a tea towel, again, that looks old, a bowl that looks old, full of apples, and then another story, farm fresh organic eggs. I took a little straw, put some really fresh eggs in there of different colors that my cousin's hen laid, and then just a little bit of dried flowers to give it some life. Her shirtless Tom is up there on the refrigerator by the baskets. And finally, over here on my table was a lot more 50s style, but I couldn't change it out. So I grabbed some tablecloths, doubled the tablecloths on there, put this black one on top of the other one, which really tied in the chairs, and then have this big crock here full of hydrangeas from my garden. Aren't they beautiful? They're absolutely gorgeous. And I love the scale of it. It made a big statement. I really like it. So that is the kitchen. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's take another look.